Hello, and it's the Warp Forge with another for the first time ever, a Doctor Who battle report. In this battle report, we have our Daleks over here. Now, as you can see, they're not really, they look a bit display. That's because I started moving and got a bit eager. But hey, gives it more dynamicism to a board. So yeah, start moving. But we have our Daleks fighting the glory of the Sontaran Empire. Yes, we have partially painted and unpainted miniatures, deal with it. So yeah, as you can see, just Daleks as sidemen. The cards are 8 cards aside. We're playing a meeting of metal. We've already established where the objectives are, being over here, and if we had a lot of shadow over there, as you can see there, yep, and one over here. We're not playing with the full 8 or something, only because
Can't actually place them.
yeah, we can't actually place them. So basically, we can't place them, so we decided to half the objectives, or taking off 2 or something, just to make it actually work. So yeah, this will be just the intro. Yep. And so just getting into the swing of things, and now we will move on to see what we have in each other's forces. So starting off with the Daleks. Okay, so for Dalek deployment, obviously here are the bot cards. Here are my 15 Mysterious Adventure cards. And we have not 2, but 3 Dalek patrols. We also have 1 special Dalek patrol of 2 models with a fate token. We have 3 Dalek patrol, 3 Emperor's Royal Guard, as indicated by the card. We have a Special Weapons Dalek, yes, unpainted, deal with it. We have Dalek there, the Cult of Skaro member himself, as you can see, in the flesh with a fate token. And then we have our beautifully mid-painted Dalek Supreme with 2 fate tokens as it's given. So this is going to get a lot of fun. As you can see, a lot of bodies on the field, a lot of high-stake characters. Let's see, all mobilized for the simple progression of extermination. So now, we will look at the glory of the Sontaran Empire. Okay, so for the glory of Sontaran Empire, as you can see, we have special cards for my stuff. For Sontaran individuals, we have a battle card, we have the adventure card deck, and we have Ingron, the human accomplice to Lynx. We also have Sontaran General Star, the undefeated. We have Sontaran Bodyguards. We have the more Sontaran Bodyguards. And then we have a Sontaran Patrol, not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 Sontaran Patrols, so a lot of bodies on the floor. 3. 1, 2, 3, yes. 3 Sontaran Patrols. There's so many, they all look the same because they're a clone army, right? Oh dear. So yeah. Glorious Sontaran Empire, will they wipe these Daleks off the board? Well, let's see. Okay, so this is the movement phase, if I didn't have a chair to trip me over accidentally, so there we go. Obviously, as you've seen before, the Daleks just moved up. They went straight for the throat of the objectives. They want those objectives. They want to win this game and dominate. So, you can see these Daleks just moved up. The Special Weapons Dalek, or as I like to call it, the Abomination, because that's also its nickname, just flew up the board, just moved 6. Should have moved a bit further, but I'm cautious about those Sontaran energy weapons. The Supreme went with a patrol detachment, or patrol card. Just patrol of Daleks, trundling across, not fearing any cover, because you can't claim benefits to cover as a Dalek, because you have the tank trait. A few more Daleks, the special patrol with the fate token, as the partially paid Imperial Dalek scheme is rolling up with the Dalek there. If Dalek there gets a kill, that's when things start getting interesting. Another patrol just moved up, going straight for the objective over here. So again, they just went straight for the throat of the objectives. They know what to do. They've played this game against the Sontarans before. They didn't like what they saw. They're just patrolling. They're just mind their own business. They're getting their stuff done. The Sontarans, however, as you can see, that massive conga line. Yep. Well, as you can see, the Sontarans just moved up. Massive conga line. That is the classic Lynx. That's Lynx, along with Angron right underneath. So, Angron and Lynx are underneath, just trundling ahead. Again, this conga line, just absolute, just one massive sweep for the glorious Sontaran Empire. Let's go pew, 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 pew. Now, I should mention there are faction-specific objectives, as well as the main objectives as you've seen. The faction-specific objectives are very, very different and going to be very, very... they're going to be very interesting and very interactive, let's just say, because the Dalek one is literally kill everything. So if you kill a model, you get a victory point. The Sontaran objective is if he gets in my deployment zone, which is 6 inches from the table edge, they get 1 victory point per model. So if they get into my zone, basically if they get behind enemy lines, for those who play 40k, they get 1 victory point a model. That's in, even partially in, within the deployment zone. The Daleks kill everything, exterminate, annihilate, destroy. That is the Dalek motto of things, and it's the victory condition sounds perfect for them. So, the reason why I've done the movement first is because we have alternate movements. So basically I move, he moves, then I shoot, he shoots, then I do close combat, then he does close combat, and then I upkeep, he upkeeps, basically kind of resetting things when things get stunned and effects and stuff like that. So this is how we're going to do the battle reports from now on for Doctor Who. We're just doing alternate overviews of every phase of every turn. This is turn 1 indicated by the time marker, or the turn marker. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Let's see what happens on turn, well, in the shooting phase. Okay, so turn 1 shooting phase. What shooting phase? In a galaxy where we have the 2 deadliest races known in the Whoverse, there was absolutely no shooting. I decided in the shooting phase you can advance instead of shooting, which basically is an extra movement, but you can't shoot. Which sounds fair enough. Right, so I held firm. I always want my opponent to come towards me because we've been there, we've done that in an earlier game just to really figure out the rules, and the Daleks really didn't enjoy advancing up towards Sontaran weaponry. So we all just stand firm, thought at the most he'll get the objectives, and if he gets the objectives then we know what to prioritise. However, my opponent on his shooting phase has done exactly the same thing.
I could have done one thing.
Yeah?
I could have advanced, but I won't.
Yeah.
Lynx, I can spend a point of fate to advance him. That's basically a free move in the movement of shooting.
Yeah.
And then he could shoot, which would put him in one of these. Mm-hmm. And if any of them advanced, he wouldn't have lost one of his shots because of being over 6. Mm-hmm. But I decided against that. I used that as a way to trick Jacob into not moving forward.
Yeah. Essentially, we've just done the Sir Patrick Stewart. We've introduced a little bit of Star Trek.
The line, no father, no father.
The line, no father, no father. What's that? Push the terrain casually. I'm not much of a casual. I'm not much of a filthy casual, guys. So yeah, absolutely no shooting in the warfare of the Whoverse with the 2 most deadliest races. We took advice from Sir Patrick Stewart. And that's something that we've learned. Star Trek does actually solve a few problems, like how to avoid getting killed.
Don't wear a red shirt. That Dalek dies first as Supreme.
Oh dear, yes he does, doesn't he? That poor Supreme. That Supreme.
No, I said that. I kind of want to kill him and leave now.
Mate, like...
I kind of want to do that right now. If he's a red shirt.
Mate, I just want to go up to things and be Dalek Supreme and just shout exterminate.
Exterminate! Has to be a little deeper than normal Daleks.
Yes. I'm gonna have so much fun editing this. All the clips. So,
it's one of the best thing now.
Yeah.
This Dalek's got his booty like poking out like.
Oh, I've just moved to Dalek. Whoops. Yeah. Oh. Yes.
Turn 2.
Yeah. With nothing dead or nothing hurt, we may as well skip over to turn 2. Dun dun dun. Okay, so movement phase of turn 2. The Daleks have officially started moving up and start being more aggressive. So, an Emperor's Royal Guard did claim an objective. As you can see, underneath is a 2. That's how many victory points that objective is worth, and there is also a colour around it. The colour depends on a special effect that essentially buffs the character, such as a free shooting or free movement out of phase, basically, so you can immediately shoot a character and stuff like that. A black does nothing, so he's just got 2 victory points at the moment. Pardon me. As you can see, more Daleks just moved up. Now, if we head underneath here, which is going to get a lot of fun. There we go. So I see the Daleks just advanced and want to declare exterminate everywhere. More Daleks just pushed up, getting towards Dalek there, decided to go behind the barricade. Now, obviously, he can't claim cover because he has the tank trait, because there's a rolling pepper pot. Of course, if you're going to see it, you're going to shoot it. But this way, at least my opponent can't claim cover for me being just a little bit behind the barricade and losing a dice to shooting. Obviously, as you can see, that objective hasn't been claimed yet, but we're getting there. And these Daleks over here are patrolling upwards. The Sontarans moving to cover.
Lynx is here.
Yep, Lynx is right over
Right
here.
the far bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right the far bit there.
Yeah, as you can see, Lynx is with other Sontarans right over here.
And then Irongrown's got the objective. Up front.
Irongrown's over here.
Surprisingly, he's more of a beast to survivability. He is known for Sontarans. I mean,
Yes. Irongrown is officially one of the world's most durable humans. Surviving Dalek blasts and taking out Daleks with just a longbow.
he is literally a legend.
Yes.
Of tomorrow.
So yeah, more Sontarans just claim cover. More Sontarans over here again, claiming all that cover with just being there, and also over here just claim that cover. Just hiding.
One round there.
They know what a Dalek Disruptor does. They know what a Dalek Gunstick does. For maximum extermination.
And you'll have first turn of shooting.
Yeah.
But Sontaran, I'll take it.
So basically, these are essentially like stratagems if you play 40k, or if you want to get really into the lore and the fluff, it's basically a plot twist card. He's played Sontaran. So usually in Doctor Who, with alternate phases, at the start of every turn, you roll 5 dice. If you get more of a certain shape or picture, yeah.
Well, them two.
If you get more of these than your opponent, you get to go first. Now, I got 4 whilst my opponent got 1 of these, and I went first to move. Now, technically, I should be shooting with Sontaran. Now, my opponent shoots.
Yeah, I override the initiative order in one sub-phase, and then I will also Sontaran characters to go first, or second if desired. And then all my Sontarans are going to shoot.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant card!
Oh yeah, it's a very, very good card. So I'm gonna have to take a lot of heat. This is gonna be a hard turn for the Daleks, but we have some of the hardest armor known in the Whoverse.
So I've got to say to that, Jacob.
Yeah.
Sontaran.
Let's put this metal to the test.
Sontaran.
It is a clash of metal after all. So we will move on to the shooting phase. Okay, so shooting phase, and it has been a gritty meat and bones sort of field. As you can see here, a Dalek has died. Dalek there has been exterminated by Lynx or someone. So yeah, that's a thing. One Dalek got exterminated from the patrol here, from a Sontaran, who has now been exterminated in return fire by a Dalek, securing me a victory point. You can see more Sontarans just fired into these patrols, killed one. Irongrown over here fired at the Supreme, as you can see through the grill in the red, and managed to deal a wound. So one of the supreme overlords and one of the most feared races in the galaxy, or in the universe, with its the best armor available to it. Just stick an arrow in its neck. There we go. That's all.
I think you should convert the model to put an arrow in it.
Yeah. I used to be Dalek like you. Then I took an arrow to the neck. Literally, you're just going to be aiming for people's kneecaps if I play Ice Warriors or something like that. So more Sontarans and stuff took off a Dalek in this patrol. Two Daleks in this patrol, and a Dalek from this patrol as well. And that was the combined fire of all those Sontarans. I tell you what, 7 dice with concentrated fire plus the ranged bonus that we get in addition to the Leo carbine. Yeah, it's a lot of dice. It's good. It's definitely very good. But yeah, in return fire, I did manage to kill 2 Sontarans over here. Scare me.
No, one.
No, just one. Yeah, that's no bother. I will just move behind a little bit. Obviously, as you can see, that is 1 Sontaran destroyed. So secure me 2 victory points plus another 2.
And I got 2.
These. And you got 2 victory points for what again?
Iron Grun holding the objective.
Yep, Iron Grun has an objective. So that's good. Oh, the camera's panning too fast. Thank you, camera. So yeah, that was the shooting phase. Very meat and bones. We can see some more over here. Some more Sontarans coming down from this angle for a good flanking maneuver. Emperor's Royal Guard at the ready of the Abomination, who's ready to fire next turn. So it is now on to combat, but I don't think there is going to be any combat since nobody really wants to assault anyone, because Sontarans are alright, they're decent in combat, but against Dalek's hard armour, I'd rather just be shooting at it from afar, to be honest. So I think we're going to cut over to turn 3. Really badly sung. Nah. Absolute banter. Okay, so it has been the movement phase of turn 3. The Sontarans make a decisive strike forward. The Lynx claims an objective and runs away, like the battle Sontaran hardened warrior he is as a scout. As you can see, the Daleks just moved over to the corner, but most of them stayed still. They're staying still so they can maximise the shots of the dice. As you can see, Iron Grun went right in front of the Dalek Supreme. So there we go. So yeah, more Sontarans just walked right in front of the Daleks. This Sontaran got to an objective, got a free movement because of the colour of the objective, as well as 2 victory points. And my opponent also played open skinned on this Sontaran. So basically, he ignores the first underfire marker he receives. This guy just moves forward, attempting to flank over these Daleks. Again, more Sontarans from behind. If we just move that piece of terrain. More Daleks, more Sontarans just waltzing in front. The Daleks just stayed put. We've got this one in the bag now, I feel. Or, as the Supreme thinks, they've walked right in front of its death line, and we're gonna just see some serious exterminating now. So, once my opponent is around, we are beginning the shooting phase. Now, something we haven't talked about is fate pools. Fate pools basically with every character that you get a certain amount of fate tokens. Fate tokens can be spent in a number of ways, from rerolls to ignoring damage to getting rid of stuff, etc, etc, etc. Now the Dalek Supreme has the Dalek Overlord card rule. So I'm spending 1 fate point, these do not regenerate, in order to activate that rule. What that basically means is, because my opponent here got the first turn, got the initiative this turn, so he gets to do everything first, I decided to just play a Dalek Overlord, which reverts this now shooting phase to me shooting first.
I'm going to put it on the half so it removes me to be first. Not really, that was in my discard pile.
Alright, fair enough. Fair enough.
God help me.
So yeah, Daleks are now seriously exterminating. So from a lethal first turn and shooting from Sontarans, allow me to return the favour. In the shooting phase, next shooting phase.
Have to return the favour.
Okay, so shooting phase, I believe, and it was deadly. It was very, very, very deadly. So as you can see here, Daleks just fired into Sontarans, and the Sontarans returned fire in kind. As you can see, there's no longer a Dalek patrol here. Daleks returned fire. Well, Daleks fired first, as you saw before, and killed a lot. Iron Gron's relatively unharmed. Lynx is running away. The Dalek Supreme fired at Angron, didn't really do anything. The Daleks next to him fired at the Sontarans right in front of him and exterminated them all, because that's what Daleks do.
Stahl is very much almost dead.
Oh, almost. Oh, we have to talk about what happened over here as well.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's a lot of there was a lot of models here. Now there isn't. We did get a bit eager and move a little bit too eager. It is now technically the movement phase of turn 4, but before, it was 6 inches away, just relatively where the Emperor's Guard was. So, what happened here? Well, as you can see, the Special Weapons Dalek here isn't there anymore. That's because he returned fire on us. However, when I did fire, I could fire. There were about, 5 or 6 models over here?
There was 4 Sontarans and General, 3 Sontarans and General Stahl.
Yeah, all grouped and huddled together. I picked the
10 wounds on every single one of them.
Yeah. I picked the key one, rolled 12 dice, done 12 hits.
10 hits.
10 hits, yeah. 10 hits on all of them. Because when you roll for blast in Doctor Who, you roll once, and that applies to every model within an inch of the initial target.
Stahl has burst, which is I roll my 10 dice, and I distribute them between targets within 1 inch of my guy I pick. Not they all count for each dude. So heavy weapons Dalek is definitely good.
Yeah, the Special Weapons Dalek is an abomination to my enemy as well. I managed to kill all Sontarans. A lot of them died due to the. Most of them were killed due, probably 3, I believe, to the special weapons. And the Dalek Emperor's Guard squad basically killed whatever was left remaining, including the Sontaran over here. However, my opponent played. What was the card you played? The Adventure card.
For what? Which one? To bring him back, it was the reinforcements. Where is it?
That's fine.
Request reinforcements.
You requested reinforcements cards. Basically, he brought back, because they're a clone race, he brought them back and put them.
That's my bodyguard one.
Yep. Brought back a bodyguard one, just to reunite with Stahl, to defend him for the glory of Sontaran Empire.
None of my For the Glory cards have come up, which allows me to bring back a full card. And I've got 2 in the deck, so I mean... I'm waiting for it,
The Sontarans, Stahl is really wounded. Yes. I'm going to have to cut off the head now. Really gonna have to. Stahl returned fire indeed and killed 2 of the
Emperor Daleks.
Yeah, killed 2 of the Emperor Daleks
and the special weapons.
And the special weapons.
Stahl is very stable in a Sontaran army.
Stahl is very, very good. You want Stahl because Stahl does.
He'll do better against human ones because there's a lot of cards of hypnotism.
Yes.
I think he has a real card and so does Lynx. So
exactly, yeah. Sontarans are going to be very interesting against other factions. This right now.
Looking forward to unit.
Sorry.
Looking forward to unit.
Yeah,
because
unit.
we've also got corridor field which stops like bullet weapons.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm looking forward because it's like I play one wing against like Sidemen and Daleks, and then there's other stuff for going against other dudes. So.
Yeah. The Sontaran army is very versatile, whilst the Dalek army is literally just move to the centre, then beat online. Yeah, it's literally just it's like a more mobile Tau army. It's funny because it's true.
I have MacLeod.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, you do as well. Oh dear. Like you say. Oh, and then we had combat as well. Combat consisted of Iron Gron attacking the Dalek Supreme and then dealing 2 and Defiant markers to him. Just absolutely, really, just didn't do much, but 7 dice on the charge and reducing my 4 dice to 3. Yeah, okay. Irongron, let's forget about Dr. Mysterio over here. Let's talk about Irongron, because Irongron is like the Viking. He is like somebody who you want in your army because he's just so good. But yeah, he is very, very good as a good combatant. And he's only a guy with a hatchet. Yeah, so yeah. In the upkeep phase, as you can see all those Defiant markers, I played Daleks Conquer and Destroy. And that basically removes all the, classes all the roles for upkeeping on my Daleks as successors. So basically, reduces all the Defiant markers so that they can perform normally. Okay, so now starting to move to the late game. The end of the game happens on turn 6. So yeah, turn 4. We're going to see turn 4. Okay, so we decided just to do the whole turn because there was very little to do. Daleks fired into the Sontarans, only managed to do 2 Defiant markers. This Dalek tried to claim the head of Star.
Did an infinity shield.
Yeah, my Dalek did an infinity shield which ignored all his shots. That was return fired into this Dalek here. At the end of the game, I secured 10 victory points just by
This is only the beginning. We will prepare. We will grow stronger. When the time is right, we will emerge and take our rightful place as the supreme power of the universe!
Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have the conclusion. This is the conclusion of the battle report. I know it was cut off quite early in that last turn, as you saw. From what I remember, the Daleks got 10 victory points. The Sontarans got 22 to 24 victory points. So it was a resounding Sontaran victory. Now we'll talk about the Tactica, but I want to take some time just to the side to say that this isn't going to be an overview of the battle and the battle report itself, but also the game. Back then, it was recorded whilst they were making releases. And the game isn't dead. Is it unsupported? Yes and no. Yes, because they aren't making releases at this time with the pandemic and, well, essentially Nurgle's Rock going around the world. They aren't making releases for this game because one of the things that I'll give props to Warlord Games for, and they are absolutely great. I don't have any issues with them, and I still hold goodwill towards them because they've been fantastic with us. Any questions that I've privately messaged them with, they've answered. Anything I've asked, they've given us an answer for, and they've spoke to us, got to know each other a little better and stuff. It's a very good group. I want to invest more into Doctor Who to support them and support this game because I do enjoy it. This is the game I've been waiting for since 2007. I've always wanted an army of to enter a tournament with an army of Daleks trundling around killing Cybermen or exterminating Cybermen, Jadoon, Sea Devils, Silurians, other Daleks, inferior Daleks, of course, and everything beneath the sun is obviously exterminating the Doctor themselves. So, yeah, I want to keep on supporting this game, but the game does. I am going to take a look at this game through a critical eye. I apologise in advance if I sound like a dick. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to be more critical as to why this game ain't shifting outside the fact of its IP. Surprisingly, it's a hard IP to actually push around in my area. I thought people would be more open because, well, over here we're all really British and we all love sci-fi, so kind of lends itself into two places, but with Doctor Who, apparently not so. Kind of makes it hard from getting opponents. And then my main opponent at the time, it was great to play with them and stuff, but they've moved further down south. Neither of us have really transport to get to one another's house, so play this game again. Right now, it's not as playable as I'd like it to make it out. Hopefully that's going to change because I'm buying more factions in. I'm going to try and push people to see if we can get demo games over at my gaming store, and I think I've got a friend who's told us they want to get more involved with my channel to help out because they're my friend. Appreciate it because I help them out as well. That's what friends do. And if they want to try out tabletop games, and they love Doctor Who as well, so I'm going to buy more factions. I've already started buying half of the Maya stuff that I want. I need 2 boxes more of Maya. And I want to do Ice Warriors. And I want to do other little funky factions like Sea Devils and stuff like that, and Jadoon and Slitheen and stuff like that. But again, I digress. I want to keep supporting this game. But right now, we'll put it in the unsupport margin. And this is because through transparency of Warlord, again, I'm very grateful and thankful that they are transparent, because I think there's still a lot of goodwill in the community for this game because of their transparency. And it boils down to 2 things. It boils down to the fact that the game ain't selling, and I think that is to do with, as I've said, about the IP, but also the state of the game it's in. We'll move on to that as a more critical eye through the conclusion of the game itself, as well as this battle report. It's a mixture, it's a hybrid, because one lends itself into the other. It's kind of 6 and 2 3s. But they've also said the reason why they're not getting new releases, outside the fact that the pandemic hit them really bad. Nurgle's Rot is a bitch, who knew? Yeah, it's outside the pandemic. They've said very openly that trying to get anything out the BBC to greenlight stuff is like squeezing blood from a stone. It's apparently the BBC are kind of have a reputation of just sitting on the backsides and greenlighting stuff whenever they feel like it, rather than actually having a schedule to these things. So there's a lot of releases they wanted to release before the pandemic hit, and because the BBC have just apparently sat on the backsides and just went, yeah, it's a good day to just apparently play YouTube videos on all day. This is the state of the game we're in. And these releases are what people have wanted. People want classic stuff, so apparently we're meant to get in Remembrance of the Daleks pack, where it's meant to be Dalek, special characters from that episode, like the little girl for the Renegade Daleks, some Imperial Dalek factions like the Headmaster and stuff. Dalek agents basically. Okay, it's a bit odd, but then again, they did release the Absorbaloff. And Dr. Mysterio. Better to get them out the way than wait for so long for a release that you want, only to show this up instead. So get it out the way with, make people happy, let them have the fun with the toys over there, so that when we get to the core stuff, we can just really enjoy ourselves. Totally get it, okay? That's fine. But again, because of that and the pandemic hit, we aren't getting releases. We'll hopefully get releases next year, in 2021 at the time of this recording. I'm hoping so, because like I say, outside that Dalek pack, it implies that we're going to get Imperial Daleks, or Imperial and Classic Daleks, Imperial Renegade Daleks, Dalek Civil War. Thank you. If I can go to a tournament with a load of Imperial Daleks, I'll be a happy boy. I'll be one of the most happiest boys ever, because I love the experience of playing with my Daleks, doing exactly as I said earlier, exterminating everyone and proving myself to be the dominant species in the universe. My Dalek Empire, the righteous Dalek Empire for Emperor Davros, the best Emperor, the right Emperor. Let's forget about the Corpse God in 40k. So yeah. Like I say, there is stuff coming. They have said stuff is coming. They've also shown renders of the Matt Smith era Silurians as a fighting force. So that's meant to come as well. But again, the BBC licence and the BBC trying to greenlight stuff, then the pandemic hit. It's unfortunate, but hey, it's out of their hands at the end of the day, and they've been open with us. And that's why I hold goodwill, because I like that transparency that Warlord Games gives us. Now, when it comes to the game, as I've said, my opponent lives down south, so it's hard to actually, like, get a further game with them in. It's hard to really, like, bring them up as well to actually talk about the game here right now, you know? So, but I did ask them over on social media, just in a private message, what the thoughts on that they've had for the game and our match. So the first thing so I'm going to say their points, and then I'm going to echo them around in terms of everything else. So, Sontarans together strong, alone they fall apart. Yeah, I totally agree. They act as a unit, they are a military force, glory in battle, you know? The concentrated fire rule really cements that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail to the rest of it as I'll echo. So yeah, they do play as a fighting force, and they're great. They'd have reinforcements on the dozen with all you could ever ask. Fantastic. Sontarans together strong, alone they fall apart. The game needs an organised play system. I'll echo this later because this is exactly my same thoughts. Oh, and Sontaha! Yeah, Sontaha! Can't really say anything more. I'm not against that. Although, as a Dalek, I do have to respond with exterminate. Because we all have to be cheesy and shout sound effects and the best voice acting that we can do for amateurs. Woo! So again, sort of tick that one off. I do have a little bit of a notebook just so that I don't go off into too many tangents and roundabouts. So again, this goes into the standard of the game, as well as what this battle report really shows. As I've said, Warlord have been open, and in the past they did tell us in Facebook comment sections on their Facebook group that they weren't expecting a fully fledged game out of this. They were thinking that this is just going to be the selling models and a game, and they had a bit of a board game with Daleks vs Cybermen and a few others that were included in the main box, like Jadoon and Jadoon cards if you bought the Jadoon sets, and Silence cards and stuff. They didn't realise, for some reason, that everyone wanted to really play the game. Anyone who bought the minis wanted to play this tabletop game of Doctor Who. They wanted armies of Daleks fighting armies of Cybermen versus armies of Ice Warriors and Sea Devil Uprisings, and the Master playing around, being manipulative with some silence, maybe. You get the drift. So what is the game? Because as other people have said, other people who have played previous, now like not out of production games that Warlord Games have made, or at least distributed, and this game is essentially a reskin of their zombie apocalypse game called Project Z, I believe. So again, this was, I roughly do equate it to a little bit more of a positive reception of an Age of Sigmar release. This is when Age of Sigmar first came. Now obviously that had its own negative reception because essentially it killed fantasy. This one doesn't have such a negative reaction because it's its own IP, and it's better than nothing, I guess. But again, it's a reskin of Project Z, and I think that's where its core issues lie. As a pro, the combat mechanics are simple and easy. The terrain could be a tad tighter. Again, like I say, I'm trying to be critical here. I'm not trying to like spout shite, you know. So what is this game? Well, because it's a reskin of Project Z, it's a bit scattershot. It doesn't really quite know what it wants to be, and I think this battle report shows it. as I've said, my opponent's mindset to this was, we're fighting armies. We're having there's an army of Daleks fighting army Sontarans, and the 3x3 forward centres on the heart of the action. This shows who wins and who dies, who wins and who loses, who is victorious and who lies on a corpse on the ground, or a shattered chassis, shall we say. So, again, it's a bit scattershot because we had that in mind, and apparently it wants to play itself like a bit of a skirmish game. And, well, this is where we go into how my opponent won our battle report. It doesn't really work as a skirmish game. It flops, if I'm honest. And the problem is when this game first started, you've got Daleks who have been given a bit of a buff since the start set release. But I believe, although I could have been wrong, I could be wrong, it's been a while since I made this battle report, my apologies. But the problem with it being a skirmish game is that it doesn't have a wound characteristic for each model. It tries to make everything hard to kill, but it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because every model has a high volume of attacks. As we saw from the Sontarans, the concentrated fire rule needs tightening up. There's a lot of vulgarities in it, and this lends itself to other factions, in a sense. My opponent won because their main strength was a concentrated fire mechanic. The concentrated fire mechanic states that basically if you've got a lot, like 3 or 4 models of the same weapon or the same model type as the firer, essentially, you can use their dice as well. It does not, however, have a limit to how many models can do that, or if it says that you can use all these models, then you can't use them again for another combined fire mechanic. So because of how this was worded, and this is how you saw so many Daleks get shot off the board in a turn, this is why we did the whole Captain Picard waiting for the opponent to make the first move, because whoever makes the first move loses. And I wish to not say it as cynical or as factual as that, but it really was. Because that's what we learned in the practice game to understand the rules of the Sontarans and all the special rules, as well as bring ourselves back up to the speed of the game. Basically, if I move, they play the concentrated fire rule. So in a squadron of 5, say you've got 5 Sontarans within range of each other for the concentrated fire rule. They've all got 4 dice each. So that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 dice. That's 20. So basically they're all firing 20 dice at once. Now you fire 20 dice 5 times over. That's heckin' strong. That's very, very strong. That's what, 20 times 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 100 dice? 5 times over? Obviously my math could be wrong, but you get what I mean. That's a high volume, and you're getting essentially you're getting 2 or 3 turns worth of shooting phase in one turn. That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers. And it only gets more powerful because one of the main Sontaran strengths, as thematic as it is to return models back into play. So from what we understand the rules, every faction can do this. Instead of having a card with a special rule like the adventure cards you can have an adventure card which is also a reinforcement card. So say you've got a Dalek patrol that dies. It's off the board. You draw an adventure card and it's a reinforcement card. Essentially you can put those models back on the board. You just play that card and it's like, this is a new faction card. Or if you've got a full army of Daleks and you get an extra reinforcement card, then you can play that card and Bob's your uncle, you've just been given a free set squad, essentially. Wow, okay. Now Sontarans have adventure cards which can bring back models even more so. So, instead of doing it once a turn, you can do a reinforcement squad plus a Sontaran card plus another Sontaran card to bring back more and more models or entire cards worth. in a turn. So you've got this concentrated fire rule which plays happily into the Sontaran special cards. Now I don't have them right in front of us. But this is what we understood from the game. This is what we understood. Like, at this point, my Daleks are very efficient at killing. If they stay still, they get 8 dice apiece. Now that's 8 dice versus a usual defense characteristics is usually between 3 and 4 dice for a standard trooper or your standard bog dude, whatever. 3 or 4 dice. 2 dice for really primitive stuff like, you know, cavemen and Napoleon-esque sort of troopers and stuff, where they're just wearing leather clothes or, you know, fancy garments and stuff. 3 dice is your standard like Cybermen, battle armor. Sontarans have 3 defense. 4 is for the more protective folks like your Daleks, your Maya, your Ice Warriors. 5 dice or higher is usually reserved for leaders. So things like the Dalek Supreme has 5 defense dice. That sounds alright. And at the start set at the time, it was fine. You know, having 4 defense dice was decent against Cybermen and vice versa because they didn't have a high volume of fire. But as the releases have gotten on, that volume of fire has gotten higher and higher and higher. So it doesn't work as a skirmish game because you've got 6 dice, more and more dice, 8 dice essentially for a Dalek on maximum extermination versus, the Doctor who's got maybe 3 or 4 dice. You can easily snipe the Doctor out and he doesn't have any special regeneration abilities to keep him on the board to make him into a further incarnation. So you can't do Tom Baker turns into Peter Davison, who then turns into... That doesn't happen. So you can basically snipe the Doctor, and if you're playing the Doctor against Daleks or any of the more hostile forces, like the ones that, are mutual hostilities towards each other, Cybermen and the Doctor, Sontarans and the Doctor, Daleks and the Doctor, they get to exterminate the Doctor, they auto-win. It's a checkmate move. It specifically states in their faction special rules, instant win. Fair enough. Okay. That's a big thing, but at the same time, why would you bring the Doctor if it brings that much risk? And the Doctor's alright. He wants to play like a mixture of... He wants to play like a more positive, a good guy Loki, essentially. He's a trickster. He wants to do funky things. But at the end of the day, it's just him and his companions, and why would you want to bring that against a full Dalek army? And this is where I say this game is a bit scattershot. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be a skirmish game, but it's too easy to kill things. So does it want to be a small-scale war game like War Machine, but with a few less models or a few bigger things like the Titans or Colossals and stuff that you see in War Machine and Hordes? What does this game want to be? And obviously, like, this concentrated fire is one rule. They need to consolidate all these special rules and stuff into one PDF as well. Because in certain posts and stuff on the Facebook group, these aren't official documents, but this is what, like, the people who have wrote the rules have said in the Facebook groups and stuff, in pinned posts or in the odd comment section here and there. They've given off these rules. Like, the Sontarans faction special rule isn't in the official PDF. It's in some comment section threads away that happened probably 2 years ago now. 2 or 3 years ago by now. It's a good ability. It's very thematic for the Sontarans. I like it. But it's not an official bolted down rule, Everything like that needs to be consolidated. The rules need to be tighter. Because right now it kind of wants to play itself as an extremely, extremely beer and pretzels game. Where you are just having a bit of silly fun. Fair enough. That's how you want to take it. That's fine. But it doesn't really lend itself as a game with much replayability. You play this for one odd recreation, like the Battle of Canary Wharf, and then you just put it on the shelf and leave it alone. I want some as I've said before, I want to go to tournaments. I want to make tournaments and go to tournaments and have an army of Daleks fighting against the other abominations of the universe. This needs an organised play, as my opponent said. It needs an organised play. It needs to be tighter. Now, like I said before, these loose rules can lend itself into further areas like terrain. In the starter set, you get yourself a little range ruler, like how you get them in 40k. Back in previous sets, you get the whippy red, the infamous whippy red stick. Well, Doctor Who has a cardboard range ruler. Doesn't sound that important, right? However, in the rules, it states that if, for the purposes of being in cover or getting bonuses to cover, and covers it again, cover needs to be readdressed, I feel. You need a tape measure to measure certain distances, and well, not certain distances, but certain widths. As it says in the rules, if the width of the tape measure is passing over a piece of terrain onto the target, then they get a cover bonus. Sounds simple, right? The problem with that rule is that tape measures come in all various forms and sizes. You can get some, like Games Workshop ones are usually, an inch thick, half an inch thick. But then you can get some tape measures which are like 2 inches thick. Then you can get some tape measures which are like half an inch thick. So at the end of the day, like, which one do you use? I know this is sounding very pedantic. It's sounding very nitpicky. But these are things that people will try and pull, If you've got a thicker tape measure than your opponent, then you give them more cover bonuses, essentially. Personally, to me, this could be resolved in either two ways. Re-release the starter set, but give off range bands, like special cardboard markers, like how Fallout does for its ranges, or Marvel Crisis Protocol does the same for its, like, line of sight, basically. Both of them, it feels as though this game wants to follow in those footsteps, which is why that range ruler is so important, because essentially that's a universal standard. That's what, if you have that in the box, that's what you want to use from now on. If you lose that, good luck. And, well, apparently to me, I've lost it, so good luck to me. So the first way is to really tighten down on that, is to have some range bands. Re-release the starter, give us some range bands like that. The other way to sort it out is just say, here's a 1mm line. Get a 1mm line laser pointer. And just do it from that. Fair enough. Make it precise. I've got nothing against that. That's fine by me. I'm happy with either one, personally. Personally, I'd rather have the 1mm line. That's only because I don't like special chits and range band rulers and tokens for days and days and days. It's just give me a tape measure, just give me some dice, give me only a few templates. And if you give us markers and tokens or whatever, make sure there's something where I can put them on the cards. Or I can mark them down on the cards with a whiteboard rub measure and stuff. And this lends into why this game really needs some form of points value. Because right now, the game is played by how many cards you've got. So basically, when you ask for a game of Doctor Who with an opponent, you may say, do you want to play a game of 5, 6, 7 cards aside? And your opponent will go, yep, sure. Not every card is equal in power. A Dalek Supreme is by far so much more powerful than the Doctor, on stats alone and on just card versus card. The Doctor can try and disrupt it with their sonic screwdriver. I'm sorry, on mispronunciations there. Meanwhile, the Dalek Supreme just turns around and goes, yep, maximum extermination, 8 dice, bang, you're dead. There needs to be a points value somewhere. But again, like I've said before, the game feels as though it wants to be that beer and pretzels game where you play the odd game and then put it on a shelf and leave it until the end of time, until you're bored of the models and you sell them off on eBay or something. The game has more potential than that, and it can be. It just needs to be tighter. It just needs, the concentrated fire rule, for example. All that needs is just a limit. Just saying, if you fire all the Sontarans, they can't fire again that round. That's fair. To me, that implies that you could make potential further cards of the Sontarans to make them fire it an additional time. Because, like I say, they're getting what? As I said before, 100 dice? So they're getting, 2 or 3 turns worth of shooting in one turn. That's why it was so devastating against my Daleks. These who have the hardest armor, allegedly the hardest armor in the universe, just got mincemeat by a few laser blasters on pew pew. Because of it was like firing into a guard line, an Imperial guard line behind one of those Aegis defense lines in earlier editions. And it was just a case of here's 2 gun lines as well. I think that was a little bit unavoidable, but I think that was more due to the stance of how the rules are. If I stayed still, I could fire everything with 8 dice apiece and blow them off the board. But that's if they moved. But if I moved, the concentrated fire comes into effect, and you saw what happened in the battle report. Like, my biggest thing I had there was my special weapons Dalek. My special weapons Dalek blew up a ton. Like, that just screams to me, I want some more of that. Can I have some more of that so that they don't die as easily, please? Because I got more chances to actually fire it. Because that was fun. Having Dalek bazooka, essentially. It did feel very reminiscent of the actual Remembrance of the Daleks episode, where they smashed through that school, that, industrial brown gate, where the pyrotechnics went over the top and just went boom, and literally scared everyone in the vicinity, to the point where there was fire alarms going off and the fire engines came, and they hadn't realised that it wasn't an actual attack, it was just something for Doctor Who. Bit of a big yikes there. As I quote Sylvester McCoy, well, the pyrotechnics, they're a bit mad, you see. So yeah, that was, like I say, when that happened and you saw the Dalek just shoot, when you saw a special weapons Dalek just shoot at the fence or then shoot at the renegade Daleks inside, and you just saw nothing but ash and shrapnel everywhere, it put a smile on my face to go, I can do that in this game. Bang! Sontarans, bang! And the dirt is gone. So that was fun. That was just like, focus on me because I am screaming to be shot at. I am an artillery piece. Shoot me or else you're dead. And why? Because again, that's 12 dice that I only roll once, and then it has a radius on the target. I'll fire, and then everyone in that radius of the target model that I've shot suffers the same amount of dice that I've rolled for that initial target. It's 1 dice for potentially, so many models, and then one by one they die because they have to roll 3 or 4 dice, 2 to 4 dice per model to try and defend against those 12 dice. That's a lot of dice. It's very big. It does have the drawback that you can only technically use 1 because it's a card in itself, and you can only take 1 special weapons Dalek for every Dalek patrol you take. So if I take 3 Dalek patrols, I can take 3 special weapons Daleks. But then I need to think about, do I want others, like the Cult of Skaro, Dalek Sec there, Jas, do I want Davros, do I want my Dalek Supreme in? It then lends itself to further stuff, essentially. So again, there is the drawback to that, and the fact that it can blow itself up, or blow up its closest allies. It has to roll a dice as well, where if it rolls a certain icon on the dice, it turns on its allies and goes, exterminate, and blows my own Daleks up with equal destruction. And the law reason behind that is because when Special Weapons Dalek fires its gun, it emits a nasty radiation, and it doesn't have vent ports or anything. And that was specifically designed that way by Davros, so that the Dalek turns mad, so that it would fire more, a higher rate of fire, and then, essentially Bazooka Dalek going firing everywhere. it goes mad, and that's why it has the rule, the Abomination. That's why I was calling it the Abomination, because again, it's mad because it has this radiation poisoning its mind and mental deterioration for a xenophobic creature such as a Dalek. So yeah, it has its equal drawbacks. I can fire on my own troops just as much as I can fire on the enemy, and it will be just as devastating. So that's the way how they balance that out. Still though, that if there was a points value on that, it would be better. It would be more suited. It would be very expensive. So again, like I say, from the starter set to all the latest releases up until the pandemic, the power creep has ramped up. From Cybermen are in a hard place, I would say, right now. It's hard to play them. They are a close combat faction. They will decimate Daleks for days in close combat. They'll have a good run against Ice Warriors and Slovene and stuff, but they have to get there first, and they also have to think about the objectives as well. It's hard. It is very... I feel as though they have it hard because it is easy to shoot them down. It's easy to kill them off. You know? But that's why I think Cybermen are in a rough place. I don't think they're bad. They don't have it as good as, say, the Maya or Ice Warriors. That's just my thoughts. They need a little bit of a boost. Maybe some more adventure cards with an Earthshock Cybermen pack. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I would buy 5 packs instantly. Warlord, please let me buy Earthshock Cybermen. The game, the fixes to this game could be relatively simple. It needs to specialise itself out. There needs to be multiple formats of play. Because right now, like I said before, it's a scattershot. It doesn't know what it wants to be, in my personal opinion. I think it needs to be multiple things right now. It needs a skirmish. It needs some narrative play, like packets or campaign packs, if you want to go on the recreation route, to recreate your favourite episodes of Doctor Who, or scenes, like the Battle for Canary Wharf, or something to do with like the 11th Doctor's last episode, or things from the 50th anniversary. Campaign stuff like that is where this game's probably recreations are probably where this game at the moment is best suited to. Somewhat of like a narrative campaign play. Maybe an open play, like, you know, sandbox. Because this is what it feels like right now, and it could be tighter. Skirmish, it needs to divide itself between a matched play, this is a small scale war game, and a skirmish game, where it's just unit versus unit, or, you know, split itself off. Because right now, as I've said before, the game plays by how many cards you've got. But there's nothing really to mark those cards. There's nothing to say, you know, why should I have 6 of this card when I could just use the same card for 3 other units? There's nothing to really mark them. There's no, like, space on the cards to mark anything for, like, statuses or being pinned and stuff like that. You can just use one card and just go, yep, this is this card 3 times over for 3 different squads, and there's nothing stopping you. So some more interaction, if you want to go down this route where you want to use cards as a bit more than just a quick reference or something to do with army list creation, have them a little bit more interactive for the game. Because right now there is literally nothing stopping me from saying, right, I've got 4 Dalek patrols, I'm just using this one card because there doesn't need to be any more cards, it's just taking up space on the board. So some more interactability with the cards would be better. And like I say, matched play and skirmish, make them 2 different things, because I'll be honest with you, on that board there was quite a lot of terrain, but if I was playing, say, the Doctor and Companions with maybe a few bits a unit versus those Sontarans would headhunt for the Doctor, and they would have every right, and they just shoot them off the board, if I'm honest. They just go bang, gone. One of the also saving graces for the Sontarans and other factions that aren't Daleks is cover. Cover adds more defense dice, and that's what's meant to balance out the. That's what's meant to balance out the high volume of fire output of the latest releases. The issue with that is, as I've said before, things that are meant to be tough or elite or hard, like Daleks, aren't, because they can't gain cover bonuses. However, when I shoot maximum extermination, that Sontaran gets even more defense dice than my armor. It kind of doesn't feel right. Like, I understand thematically what it's trying to represent, but it just doesn't work. Well, it does work if you're playing as the Sontarans, but when you're fighting against Daleks and you're getting 100 shots in your face per Dalek model that's being shot off the board, it just kind of outweighs it slightly. Like, I get what it's trying to do, and against non-tank factions like the Daleks, I guess it could balance itself out. But right now, that's a weird disconnect from the immersion of the the TV show and other forms of media to actually simulating that on this game. It's hard. It's rough. It's like I say. It needs a points value. It needs just to be tighter. And I know I'm regurgitating the same thing that I've said before, but it desperately needs just special rules tightening up. We need a PDF document with all those faction special rules on. There's some army rules which just don't feel thematically like they make sense, like army commander. So say I wanted a Dalek Supreme with a few Dalek patrols and some Ogrons. Sounds great, but the Dalek army commander sounds thematic. Sounds like something that you have seen from older episodes of Doctor Who, like Day of the Daleks or Planet of the Daleks, or some John Pertwee era episode with the Daleks in. Sounds like something you'd see, right? Except the army commander rules states that you can't have any other faction or agents or whatever involved. So how does that work? The army commander rule is more exclusive than inclusive. If you play an army commander, you can't have any other agents like mercenaries and stuff involved. There's another disconnect there. How I would say is the Force Commander gives you your faction special trait. If you add allies in, add agents in, then that gets removed. Sounds like a fair trade-off. You want the power of a unit, a mercenary unit, you lose your faction trait, your faction special rule. That to me is an equal balance, you know? Right now it just doesn't feel thematically like it makes sense. And again, this is another thing about the rules. It just needs to be tighter. They need to make a bit more sense. This and that and this. Like I say, the game, I kind of want to leave my last thoughts on a high note because I don't want to be critical. I know I probably sound like an arsehole who has barely played the game and this and that and this, but this is how it came across. Me and my opponent, we are at least semi-competitive players, at least. When we're semi-competitive because we like to have a good time. We don't like, bringing the strongest of the strong all the time. We want things that are fun to play against. We only pick what we want. We pick what we want to play with, and then we get good with them, with those models and those rules and we learn the game and we get good through that way. Rather than just going, here's an army list, this is what you need, and this is what I'm only taking tournaments. That's not how we play. We just play with what we want and we get good. We learn mistakes, we get through it. Again, just a consolidation, a tightening the rules. The pros of this is that the combat is simple. It's just look at the pictures, and some pictures cancel out certain other pictures, and then whatever's left remaining is your damage. Easy. No faults of that at all. Personally, I like just a standard D6 or a D10, but it is what it is. I don't have any faults with it. The only thing I can really say is there needs to be an outliner of how much terrain to bring. Like, this game needs to tell me on a standard board, this is how many parts of terrain, this is how much scattered terrain you need. If you add more, great, even better. But if you add less, you're going to see what essentially this battle report became, which was just two lines waiting for one to make the first move. Now, you only have 6 turns to try and get things done. It wouldn't have made an interesting battle report if me and my opponent just stood still. And if I was playing this game without a camera, not doing a battle report, I would have done that. I would have just stayed still and just wait for my opponent to come, take the objectives, see what happens, blast them off the board, take those objectives. But would my opponent actually do that? You see what I mean? It doesn't sound quite engaging now, does it? Again, I'm not trying to dump on this game. I know I'm saying this over and over again, but I'm really not. It's a fantastic system. It's a fantastic game. Because it's the first time we've really got something like this outside the faster stuff way back in the 90s. I'm happy that we have a Doctor Who game with new models, new updated and, if I'm honest, more accurate looking models than the previous stuff. I'm happy with how it's looking. It just needs to push itself. It just needs to consolidate itself into a tight rule set. Maybe make it a bit more standard with current releases of other games, like, as I said before, range bands. If this game wants to be an easy to play system where you just get given the stuff, because this is how it feels as though it wants to play as, with the use of the range band, essentially the range band ruler, and the pictures for icons and stuff. It doesn't want you to play too much variance, it just wants to play simple. Take a look at, stuff from Marvel Crisis Protocol. Take a look at, like, the Fallout game to a degree when it comes to shooting and stuff. There are games, X-Wing again, they just use standard chits and stuff. This feels as though this is what the game wants to be right now, rather than just, here's a tape measure, here's some D6, and here's a bunch of templates. Now, get cracking, So, okay, if you want to play that, fair enough. And like I say, the combat mechanic is easy, the movement is easy, and I love the alternate phases. Now that is something I won't critique, because I love that. I like the fact that there is interaction between each other. Like, I get moved and you get moved. It's not I go, you go. I go, you go, to me, it's something that I feel will be best left just to historicals. It's not an engaging game mechanic. It's not an engaging turn mechanic. And, it's boring. It's boring to waste like an hour and a half of your game time just waiting for your opponent to do stuff and all you do is react. So the fact that this is alternate, where I can, predict opponents' moves, essentially, and then adapt around that, fine. I love that sort of stuff. So alternate phases, that's fine. Love it. Keeps me interested in a game. Keep that. Absolutely keep that. Now, like I say, I hope to see more, and hopefully maybe my tune might change about the game once I get a few more factions in and paint them up and have them dancing off against each other. Like I say, I've already bought 2 boxes of the Maya. I'm planning on getting 2 more boxes at some point in the future. And I also plan on getting about 2 to 4 boxes of Ice Warriors with the Empress of Mars set, because I want Ice Warriors. Oh boy, I like the new Ice Warriors. And I like the new Ice Warrior sculpts from the new series. And I like a lot of the stuff that they're releasing. I love, like I say, I'm someone who loves Doctor Who, always has when I've been a kid. I think this is a perfect time. And Warlord have shown that they can make really tight and decent rule sets. Bolt Action is one of them. I've heard nothing but positive reviews about the Judge Dredd and the Strontium Dog 2000 AD games. They can make tight rule sets. That's just a given fact. And I'm happy that they have. And I just think this game needs just a tightening up. It needs fine-tuning, because right now it feels like Age of Sigmar without the negative reception. And that's all I'm saying. Like, again, I know I'm regurgitating myself over and over again, but I just want to emphasise those points clearly, because this has the potential to be such a fun game. I love the adventure card mechanics, because it does feel like a plot twist that you'd see in an episode of Doctor Who, where Stephen Moffat just writes himself in somewhere and goes, huzzah, and the Doctor does something, and boom, and ah. And then everything goes off control, and then your opponent plays something, and the devious Daleks have another ace up their sleeve, quite literally, play that card, ooh, another plot twist. It's going to be an M. Night Shyamalan directed and script wrote episode of Doctor Who. So yeah, I like the adventure card mechanics. The battle cards as well is also very nice. So I didn't go into detail on that. They're basically additional hits or defenses or whatever. Basically, you roll your dice, they roll their dice, you play your cards, they play their cards, and the cards add more successes and more defenses and stuff. But essentially, more just to ramp it up. And Daleks need that. But other factions don't need it so much. Can the game play without the battle card system? Yeah, it could. But it's also nice to have, and it is fun to play against. It is fun to play with. It keeps a random element in, so that games aren't mathematically decided on turn 1. And that's something I'll give credit for in this game as well. This game, like, both me and my opponent, we both knew that this game wasn't going to be decided in the first turn. And that's a good thing. Absolutely bog standard thing. We didn't know who was going to win. It's only when we got closer towards the objectives, when in a meeting of metal scenario, where we just stood and was like, whoever makes the first move kind of loses. Because I don't have the defense to take on, essentially, again, 100 shots. Like, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't happen. So again, like I say, the game just needs tightening. Now, I'm leaving this because I'm going to toot my own horn here, like I said before. I want to love this game. I want to love playing this more. I think I've got a friend who's very interested in Doctor Who and is interested in starting tabletop games. So if I buy a few more factions, get a bit more terrain here and there, and start playing it in my own house with my opponent, I can get more battle reports out. It'll be all my own factions, but hopefully they'll all be painted, and then, Bob's your uncle. You're enjoying a full painted battle report with detailed terrain and this and that and that and this. Cool, great, fantastic. I hope to provide that. And I hope everything will go as planned in that regard. I'm looking forward to doing more Doctor Who related stuff as well, because like I say, I love the franchise. I'm a Dalek maniac first and foremost. I love my Daleks, if that hasn't been obvious. So like I say, what I'm saying now is, if there's anyone in Warlord watching this, I apologise if it feels as though I've been punching down on the rule set. That's not my intention. I want to love this game, and I want to make sure that this game can be the best it can be. And I hope that this battle report has shed some light onto some of the issues that this game has, as well as playing it. Now, like I said to my opponent, at the time of recording, are you enjoying this game? And he said, yeah, and I was enjoying this game. It was fun. It felt like a battle between two armies. Did it feel like Doctor Who? I'm not sure. I can't tell you that it's straightforward yes or no. It felt like two armies clashing against each other, and I felt as though there was an army of Daleks fighting an army of Sontarans. That was enough for me. If I was to play this on a smaller scale with just the Doctor and companions and a single Dalek, or a Dalek Supreme, or maybe a squad of Sontarans, I might say yes, I might say no. I can't really tell you. As far as I'm aware, I enjoyed this game, even with all its faults. Even when I was blasted off the board because, again, of the concentrated fire rule, I still enjoyed this game. I had an army of Daleks. I was, as you heard from my opponent and me, my opponent was going Sontaha. I was crying cries of exterminate. We were making sound effects like school children. It was great. It was fun. That's what we wanted. like we said, we both want to play this. We want to play this as a tournament game. Now, on an upside note as well, for all the audience at home, I have heard from the rules writer themselves in the custom card gaming group for the Doctor Who game that I set up. They are making a new edition, and they are implementing points values, and they are implementing all, like, some of the things we've said. Tournament pack, they're trying to implement. Points values, they're trying to implement. Things to make this tighter, hopefully they're trying to implement. I just hope that this battle report shows what they need to tighten up. And my honest thoughts here. Like I say, I'm not trying to beat down on this rule set. I'm not trying to say it's the worst rule set ever invented. That will always go to Age of Sigmar. But, hot take. But, again, I did enjoy this game. As Daleks fighting whatever horrors of the universe, I enjoyed it. My opponent enjoyed it. And we want to make sure that that enjoyment is pushed further. We want to make sure that everyone can enjoy it to the level we enjoyed it, which was absolutely rockers free. We all... Okay, that was an odd phrase, wasn't it? Yeah. We both enjoyed it. It felt out there. It felt like Daleks versus Sontarans. We loved it. It was fun. It was fun, and we just want to make sure that, to make sure that everyone's on the same page, really. Everyone enjoys it to the best they can be. Now, again, I'm going to toot my own horn and say that, if anyone at Warlord Games is watching this, I'm more than happy to do some playtesting of any future rules, be it the core rules, new faction releases. I'd have to proxy models, obviously, because you won't have the models made. If you wanted me to playtest any version of this rules, I'll be more than happy to. And maybe that could be another push in my gaming area, because they love being playtesters. Who doesn't? So if that's a way of pushing the game in my usual gaming group of gaming area, I'm more than happy to do that. Like I say, I'm more than happy to help out with rules writing as well, for free. I'm happy to just help out, because I want to, outside of it, I want to be part of, something Doctor Who related, because I love the franchise, especially the classic stuff, and the Russell T Davies era. I love all that. Apart from essentially being part of something, I'd like to help out as much as I can to make this game the best it could possibly be. And I'd happily help out with that. If you want me to do if you want me to help out in any shape or form, just ask. You know where I am on Facebook. You know how to private messages. I'm usually posting in the group and stuff. You know who I am. Just send us a private message. Happy to help out as much as I can. So again, like I say, more than happy to play. More than happy to try and get more involved in this game. I want to make more Doctor Who content. I do. And I want to show it off to the world just as much as I have with Batman. Just as much as I want to with Warhammer 40k. I want to make this another game that I play on a regular basis. And make sure people get invested. People go, oh look, there's an army of Daleks. That's a bit odd. What's it fighting? Ice Warriors. And get people invested in the game. Hopefully, I'd love to throw down so much more for this channel, because I love the franchise. The game itself is fun. You just gotta grit your teeth at some point, and at times probably put in some house rules at the moment of this battle report. Otherwise, like I say, those are my thoughts. That was a very rambly conclusion of overall in the game and the battle report itself. If you've managed to stay this far, then congratulations. Thank you for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. I appreciate you watching this, because this is probably like the first or second ever battle report on YouTube, maybe, for Doctor Who. Might be tooting my horn a little bit well there, but I digress. I'd like to, like I say, thank you for watching this whole tangent. Thank you for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed watching this battle report as much as I have. Had fun making it. And I hope to make some more content out in the future, especially for this game, for this show, for this channel, and for other content as well, from Warhammer 40k to Batman. Batman will... I digress. Doesn't need to be said. You know, other games I want to promote and show off, like Fallout and Malifaux, Drop Zone Commander, definitely. If you want to see more games and more stuff, obviously bear with us. I'm doing real life things at university and stuff, but I'm trying to do as much as I can and be as active as I can on my brand channels, like my Instagram, my Twitter account, the Facebook page, interacting with the community in the comments section, trying to push out as much as I can here. So, if you enjoyed this battle report, and you want to see more battle reports where I don't talk about the overall of the game, and I just firmly stick to what are the tactics that I could have used and oversights and stuff in the game, then please give this please give it a like, talk about this game, or what you felt about playing your own games, or anything to do Doctor Who related in the comment section. I'm more than happy to, you know, have a bit of banter with my Hereteks down the comment section below. And if you thought this was a good insight, or you thought this was a fun battle report for the short duration of the actual battle report itself, then please share this video out there. So if you've got other people who are interested in Doctor Who and tabletop war games as a whole, share this video out, get the video out there, show that this game exists, because right now that's what this game needs. It needs more than ever to sell. And if the stats show that people are buying Doctor Who stuff, then if people are into it, they make more, or they put more pressure to get more out. They're more incentivized Warlord are more incentivized to keep on making this game. Fantastic. So I hope, share this video out, get it out there, show people how much fun you can have with the Doctor Who franchise in a complete army versus army format. So again, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, share it out, and if you want to see more Doctor Who content, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon next to it so that you can keep updated on Doctor Who updates on this channel. This is the Warp Forge signing out, and remember, keep on forging.